evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RLAfterShock, the quintessential Rocket League podcast for all things in the EU esports scene. My name is Switchblade J, and joining me for this fantastic RLCS special through the power of icons, since he's just moved into a place with internet so shit that he can't actually do cams today, is Digital Bacon. My friend, how are you doing this fine Monday night?
Doing okay, considering I only set up my PC about 45 minutes ago and have been running meetings the whole weekend off of my phone. So actually being at a PC, it's like a comfort blanket for me at the moment. So I'm loving this and definitely getting in for a very special podcast today.
Very, very special indeed, because we're not the only ones here. It's RLCS weekend coming up very, very soon. So we brought on some special guest experts to break the entire bracket down as we go through our pick'em competition. Introducing the lovely Scotsman, MrCraftman, and the lovely Elite Series coach, that is Doomsee. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Very well, thank you very much, Jay. And wonderful Scot. What did you describe me as? The wonderful Scotsman.
The wonderful Scotsman. The spooky Scotsman is what you were going to be.
Spooky Scotsman. That was last month. That was last month.
Special Scotsman.
I can't live up to special.
Very
Scotsman.
special.
Saucy Scotsman.
Oh, yeah.
Spicy.
Yeah,
You gotta have
just-
consideration.
just give me
Spicy
adjectives.
Scotsman.
Just throw adjectives at
Static
me, come on.
Englishman.
just start chucking like loads
Wow.
of different insults to each other. It's fine. But yes, we brought on Craftman and Doomsee because we are each going to be doing our own pick and prediction bracket. We've got a little spreadsheet where we're going to be showing up a little bit later on in the show, where we've all decided to make predictions on how the entire LAN is going to show out. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We've all got our little bits and pieces that we can talk about. But first, I do want to get into a little bit of news. And actually, it's a great opportunity to get into some news with some special guests on, because earlier this week, the Rocket League overlords that be have announced that finally they have decided to put in-game items into the game. Obviously, if you have been watching the podcast regularly, you'll know that I have had hissy fits about this in the past. The epic rant that was... That's putting it lightly, yeah. I mean, I was shouting at the top of my lungs, but yeah, they've addressed it. They've said that by the end of the season, they will actually have some sort of in-game items going on. Initially, this story broke and everyone was really, really hyped and really, really excited. I know that I was I was definitely excited. But there have been a couple of behind-the-scenes elements that have confused a lot of people, if not put this a bit more into political perspective, I think.
Yeah, definitely when you look at it, talking about the context provided by some members of the community, where essentially it all came down to these orgs writing to Psyonix saying, we need this now, we need it, otherwise we're not going to be able to stay within the scene for long. And it near enough playing Psyonix's hand at this. And I mean, Psyonix is saying they've got to come up with a whole brand new system to supply org items in game, which I can't really see being a thing, because how do you divvy up a new way to make DLC or in-game stuff? It's all been done. Unless there's something completely out of the bag and it's awesome, then I'll eat my own hat. I'll find a hat first to eat. But I don't really know why it took so long and why they had to be so secretive about it, Jay.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, silence is no different from anything, really, in Psyonix's point of view. As you say, you know, Cloudfuel kind of leaked the idea that the organizations wrote a big letter, finally forcing the hand of the devs. I think that's a great thing for the esports scene overall. Obviously, you know, we've been wanting this for a very, very long time. What? Random noises coming through. Was that Ben? I imagine it might have been
That was
Ben.
our producer, Ben's, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's a popular boy. He gets phone calls.
He's a busy man, obviously. But yeah, no, I'm really hyped about this. We got two guests on, and I really want to talk to them about this whole thing, because obviously it's a major thing in the whole scene. So I'll start with Craftman really quickly. I just want to get your thoughts on in-game items and how you think this is going to play out for the rest of Rocket League.
Yeah, so again, this is something that I know a lot of the community, especially me, we've been wanting for quite a while. Like you said, Jay, the way that they're going to do it, again, being really, really secretive, very Psyonix about it, to be quite honest with you. It's the Psyonix way, just being very vague information-wise. But it's going to be interesting either way. I think they have been lagging behind, say, the likes of CSGO. I imagine Dota and League of Legends, that they have in-game items as well, I imagine.
I'm not sure about Dota.
I know CSGO definitely does. CSGO definitely has it. So it's something that Rocket League is definitely be lacking, and something that I don't think it would have been so difficult in the past. I think maybe trying to get the orgs behind it, but then again, you say they've already got their own deals going on. They've been wanting it for a long time. So maybe it's something to do with licensing rights or something like that. And again, they mention about how they want to go about it. Who do they want to sell them? Do they want to give it away for free? It's going to be really interesting to see how it works. I mean, Jay, you know all about the CSGO stuff. How does it work in CSGO at the moment?
I mean,
for
it's pretty basic. If you qualify for the major, which is the World Championship, runs 2 LANs every year, then you get in-game items, in-game stickers, in-game graffitis, essentially that people can buy. And then it's a 50-50 split between the organization and the developers. And if you can also get a signature sticker for each individual players. And by that, it's a 50-50 split between the developer and the player themselves, the one that they get from the signature itself. It's a flat rate as well. Everyone has to agree to it. Else you don't get a sticker in the game. So Valve literally don't give a fuck. They're just this is what's happening.
Makes sense. It makes sense that you wouldn't charge, say, I don't know, £5 for a Dignitas sticker, well, decal and flag pack, whereas you would spend £2 on, say, a Tainted Minds one. Just for example, it would have to be consistent. And then I think consistency has always been a sticking point for the RLCS and RL esports as a whole, where orgs kind of switch in and out. I know they've got the kind of, you stay in RLCS if you're in the top 6 for next season. So that's brought about that stability. But again, I think it's maybe just Psyonix being a little bit too conservative with it and saying, oh, these teams might be out of RLCS next season. We don't want to give them in-game items just yet because they've not been able to prove themselves, which I don't know, can be a little bit controversial. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how they work it and how if items disappear for teams who drop out of the World Championship, etc., or out of league play, I should say. But again, it's all in Psyonix's hands, and if they're being really Psyonixy about it and not giving us too much information as usual, it's not something that we're going to take. We're going to take it with a very heavy pinch of salt, put it that way.
What if, going to say on the counterpoint, what if they've taken so long because they do want to swap up the system? We've also been near enough begging for more than 8 teams in RLCS. So what if it's like they just want to do it all at the same convenient time? They don't want to announce the change in the system, but they've been sort of forced to, make this announcement, and it's just not working. What do you think, Ryan, on that sort of regard?
This is just what Psyonix do. Every single... I've given up hope on Psyonix about 2 years ago, honestly. Psyonix just... Basically, Rocket League is their little baby, right? Because they're an indie company that started off with battle cars, and then they exploded. And so they've had to, they're still sort of treated like an indie company, in the sense that they do things very slowly and carefully, but they need a bigger manpower to if you're going to be a big esport, you need obviously a lot of manpower to deal with it. Psyonix they don't want to make any sudden changes. They don't want to scare off their baby or whatever, so they don't like anyone else interfering with them. I know firsthand the experiences that that a lot of people have had with Psyonix, and it's basically they just don't like anyone interfering. They don't like anyone outsourcing. They want to do everything internally, and they do it very, very slowly. So basically, they do the right thing. They just take years to do it. So the in-game items, I always knew they were coming. It's just I knew it would take several years before anything would happen. And I think that as Cloudfield said about the how the orgs wrote a demand letter, I think that they just said they probably had something planned, but they were taking absolute ages to do it. And the only reason they said something was because of that letter. And they're just gonna I don't know what they've got planned. They just take absolute ages to do the simplest thing, honestly. And when it does come out, it's just broken anyway. So I mean, it will come out after season 7, so it's not another 7 months time. And whatever new process they've got, I don't know. I mean, I don't obviously not a game developer, but I'm figuring it's been years in the works now, surely, of this new system. And I mean, honestly, you can just get. They say themselves, I can't remember who it was, representatives of Psyonix have said it's not as easy as just putting in decals of orgs and then just selling it and stuff. And I'm I mean, it is.
Yeah. All you can do is just put those DLC packs in the Steam shop to buy as DLC, and when that team leaves RLCS, you take it down from the shop, you keep that item forever, Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. You update it. So you've got to get it soon. Like, that gives more urgency to buy it.
It doesn't even. The good thing about this system is like, or doing the in-game items, you really can't really go wrong with it. Like, if you add items, right, and then the RLCS team of the RLCS team gets knocked out or whatever of the rival series and out the rival series or whatever. Let's say like XL, for example, like they're in, you know, bought an XL decal. Oh crap, they're out of RLCS, but I'm still supporting them in the rival series. Now they're out of the rival series. Like, that's okay. But you know, if you whether you want to keep XL in as something you can buy anyway, fine. If you want to take it out, fine. But like, keep the item. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't think anyone really care one way or the other like that much. They just want the item in the first place. And there's just so much, like, just add some stickers, add some banners, like, as a flag if you want. People just buy anything. It's like, there's so much potential. I don't know. I mean, it's probably be a thing with a cut, right? But honestly, just do, like, the flat rate. Just be like, okay, we'll just, like, here's a percentage we're going to do, this and that. And, like, look, honestly, the amount of, like, art that, like, when you're creating a new map, right? The art team obviously have to put a lot of effort in creating, you know, the entire stadium and the surroundings and everything. That, I imagine that takes, like, hundreds of times more effort to make than a flag with a logo on it. Like, I can do that in Photoshop in about 10 minutes. Just put a flag and a logo.
It's something that the orgs can pitch in on. They can say, all right, we want, say, the Cloud9 logo on a flag or worked into a Octane decal or something like that. It's not all on Psyonix, but again, you mentioned, Doomsee, about Psyonix. They don't want people interfering from outside. They all just want to do it all themselves. And I think being closed off to outside pressure like that or outside influence it's hurting the esports scene as a big whole.
Yeah, and that's another problem I just had with Psyonix's actions as a whole. Like, they just don't act quick enough. Like, Rocket League's meteoric rise was in 2017. We're coming up to 2019 now, and unfortunately, with the numbers of viewership looking like they're dropping across the board, you know, it feels like the hype train has certainly left the station. On that front, so I'm not sure how much this is going to correct things. I'm not sure how much attention is going to bring back to Rocket League. I do hope that Rocket League still becomes profitable, because we've seen that esports scenes can be profitable. Like, I don't know if you've been keeping up with PUBG. They just announced their Pro League circuit, and like $100,000 lands for PUBG still only get like 10, 15,000 viewers. That's fucking chump change compared to what, you know, Rocket League is getting at the moment for online league play. So, you know, you can make it work, but the great thing that PUBG has done as well is they've actually like decentralized things a little bit. They've allowed different companies to take control of the different pro leagues across the way, and they've made individual deals. They've all come in with a plan from the start, and they've enacted on that very, very quickly. And, you know, it's just a comparison point that I don't think Psyonix are doing with Rocket League.
I just wonder if it's too like late. Like a lot of companies, a lot of games have, you know, they've thrown in so much money because they just want, let's make our game an esport, and they just throw it in with the money in, and then everything just crumbles because they've just invested so much and they get no return, and they're just like, well, they've now completely deflated. So yeah, I get Psyonix's viewpoint to avoid that, but they just obviously, I've never seen a game more in the other extreme of just being as slow as ever, and I wonder, like, it's good to be slow and careful and steady. Like, the fact that their prize pool has been going up like consistently and there's no been like any like drops or anything is like, you know, that's a fine point. But I wonder if they've like, it feels like they're so slow that they've missed the point that they're supposed to like capitalize on. So like the hype, like you said, like the hype's sort of gone down for a while now, and they're trying to build it up, but like it's already it's too far gone in a way, and I wonder if it's like too late for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you could also say that the hype kind of builds when you get to the weeks with the World Championship in it, like, or the weeks surrounding it, like before and after as well. You had it with, with London earlier this year, and Washington, and now building up to Las Vegas as well. The hype is starting to build again. People are starting to talk about Rocket League in a much more broader sense. But again, it's keeping that consistent throughout. Not just between World Championships, but all year as well, and throughout each league play. Because league play, I'm guilty of myself as well. I don't really pay too much attention to league play, and I sort of slowly build up and get more and more interested in it towards the end of the season, then for the playoffs and World Championship. But it is about keeping that interest going all year round. And Psyonix, they're not going about it in the right way. And I think one of the other things as well, and this is kind of tailing off from decals at this point, but we talked about Psyonix wanting to keep everything in-house as well, where that detriments from communities and lands, say in the UK, for example, Insomnia, keeping Rocket League going there, Psyonix, they need to start investing in these sort of smaller lands, not just in the UK, but around Europe and the Americas as well, and just sort of keeping that hype train rolling throughout the year, not just for their own World Championship.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like I think it's good. I think we need to like get to the source of the entire issue, and the source is just Psyonix's mentality and how they develop their game just carries on throughout how they develop it as an esports scene. And it's like the main thing is if Psyonix just like listened more to what other people other people who have like had experience in esports in other games, or just organizations, I would say like the community, like listen to them as well, but like the fact that they're not even listening to people who have like years of experience in how to like run an esports scene, and like the organizations themselves that are basically helping your entire scene, and if they drop out, you're just basically screwed. If they could just, if there was somehow you could get them to listen to to these people, that will help. Like a key difference here, right, is like anytime we give suggestions, like back in like season 1 when I was in RLCS, and like all the way up until nowadays, whenever I can give I give so many suggestions to Psyonix, right? And every single time it was just met with like, if it was no response, it'd be a generic like, oh, thank you for your input, like nothing happens, right? And then they would do that suggestion 2.5 years later, and I was like, and it's met with rounding applause, and we're like, well, me and the entire community have just been saying this. You finally do it, and look what happens. It's successful. And like the difference is, right, Gfinity, like I love how Gfinity run the whole event, right? Because I literally go, sometimes I go, oh, I have an idea actually. Go up to one of the producers in Gfinity, type messages. Oh, yeah, I got this idea. Like, you want to do this, blah blah blah. And he goes, hey, that's a well good idea. I'll talk to my, talk to the higher ups, whatever. Comes back to me like 2 days later. It's like, yeah, we're gonna do that next week. I'm like, next week. All right. It's like, and it's done. It's like they've evolved from season 1 to season 4 more than like Psyonix have in 3.5 years or whatever. So it's just like, you just gotta listen, man. I don't know what it is. There's something about it.
Yeah, that's a point I made a few weeks ago. It's like Psyonix have the major disadvantage of not having an excuse, because their game is so young. They've had like 20 years of esports history to go back and take a look at all the mistakes and correct those and do things the right way. They just have been so slow to actually do that it almost is like doing it the wrong way in a new style. So it does suck. Again, I think everyone has a lot of faith in Rocket League, but that faith is slowly slipping away. I don't know if this is just going to stop the bleeding, or whether whether it has been too late, as Doomsee was saying earlier.
Well, just to sound that point, the big comparison I always make is to Rainbow Six Siege, because it came out very much the same time. I think Siege came out half a year later. And what Siege did straight away was went with ESL. So, Psyonix went with Twitch. They went with ESL because they already had the system and run it. Did everything, straight off a Rainbow Six Twitch account, like Psyonix did. Then there was also a second ESL Rainbow Six account purely for the off-stream games that couldn't be shown, because with CS, definitely they'll have 2 matches going on the exact same time because they're bigger, longer games, and they need to get through it in 2 days instead of Rocket League that has gone to a 3-day LAN. That's just how they deal with it, essentially. Now, if you could get, say, Rocket League, and the ideal time would have been the start of the year, to near and go, okay, we've got an exclusive partnership with MLG or ESL, where they're going to be doing the necessary off season, but running a second tournament throughout that time, you'd have been able to keep the whole hype going. ESL would have been able to put on a great production themselves, and it would be trusted because it is ESL, say, or another big name. But Psyonix would have gone with the agreement of, you can't outdo our prize pool for RLCS. You just say like, oh, the RLCS one's going to be 1 million this time around. The ESL tournament in the off season has to be 750,000. As an example, so that the RLCS still is the big one, but the off-season one is still relatively worthwhile, and it's being done by a very trustworthy source, which Psyonix can go and just give essentially over and not have to worry a bit too much, which again is just them. They've got to change their mindset on it, really.
Yeah, so what was it like, kind of like down the line with CSGO with the Face-It majors and the minors and all that leading into that? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. And you just have a whole system essentially that sources from different tournaments and that.
I suppose you've kind of got that in a very vague way with Renegade Cup, sort of outsourcing it to the community organizations who've been around there for a while. But then again, that's still all controlled by Psyonix and House in some way, shape, or form. Whereas I think if you give the freedom to to say ESL, for example, they could just run away with it. Again, maybe not put on a big spectacular like the World Championship or in terms of prize pool, but they could still do a big LAN event, just not have the prize pool that the RLCS would have.
Well, the key thing about it is always that Psyonix don't even need to let it go as high as $750,000. You could go 500, 250K for that sort of that prize pool and just limited by that amount, because even the top teams are still willing to compete in very low prize pool tournaments. Like, a few months ago we had the Rival 1K Cup. Dignitas were competing in a $1,000 cup. Like, the demand is there for top tier Rocket League. You don't need to go to the point where you're approaching $1 million. Just have to give us something. And that's the thing that Psyonix are missing out the most, because they don't even need to fund it. They just go to an ESL or a Star Ladder or any other big tier organization and just say, put on a tournament for us at whatever prize pool that's not, let's say, below $500,000.
I mean, yeah, like what season was it? Season 4 was it, or just after season 4 World Championship? You had the E League, the cup with that. That kind of was it season 3? Yeah, I knew it was sometime last year. If you had something like that more consistently throughout the year, I think that could sort of be the caveat to that. But I think Psyonix maybe the reservation is flying players out. But then again, Doomsee, what would you say if you were still playing? Well, I've just touched the nerve.
He's still playing.
Wait, no, I'm not. No,
this is the injury. Don't worry, he'll come back. He'll come
I
back.
was literally sitting there waiting for you to finish a question. I was like, I'm
All right, okay. I just saw your face turn. I'm like, yeah.
No, I literally just been staring at you, like talking. Like, yeah. Just
if you were still in the RLCS, would you?
Oh God.
you would be fine, like flying all over the world, going to these LAN events, as long as it was all paid for and all that, and you were competing at a consistent rate.
Yeah, like it's all. I mean, going to a LAN is always really fun. Like people that it's quite interesting because like Gfinity, right? There's a lot of people from Europe who have to fly over. So a lot of the players be like, "Oh, I love this." Like Metsonoris is a key example. He loved flying out every week and just playing at a LAN setting. But some players just cannot be asked to travel. Whether it's because obviously, like, even though Gfinity, the prize pool is like it's hard to forget, but like it's like 40 grand or something per game. But it's like, even though I think maybe because you have to fly out every single week, it might be a bit of an issue. But like if you fly out for a LAN, it's like a 3-day. Well, actually, you go for like a week, wouldn't you? So they fly out on like the Wednesday or whatever, and they come back Monday. So it's like 5 days they're going out. People would obviously love that, especially for a World Championship. Like people don't care about the travel time so much. They just want. If it's all paid, I don't think it's not really a money thing anyway. We focus. There's a lot of focus on like the monetary value of like going to these events and everything. But at the end of the day, people want to play like whenever people. I guarantee you, whenever like Dignitas, for example, win RLCS, the last thing on their mind is like, oh, look how much money I just won. It's more like, we just won RLCS, and they're just going mental because it's like a big event. But it's interesting that there's so much focus on prize money for esports, because esports is every single tournament. Across every esport, it's like we've got like a $1 million prize pool, $10 million prize pool. In sports, it's never mentioned. Like, if I tell you how much, like, people, the winner of
Wimbledon,
the Premier League,
right?
Or something.
You guys have no idea. Like, I have to Google. I'm like, oh yeah, so it was actually. I think it's like 15 million or something. But it's like, I wouldn't have any idea. Or like the Premier League or anything, like the Champions League. Yeah. You would never clear how much they win. It's
all about the title and about that being the champion of whatever it is. I mean, like Bacon, you mentioned Wimbledon. I think they don't mention that throughout the entire thing. I think they mention it right at the end, saying, "And the men's champion winning £16 million, Roger Federer." And then that's the only time it's ever mentioned.
Yeah.
And just to add on to that point, like you were saying, with flying out every week, in a lot of sense, for these players, it's their job. You have to fly out every single week. And I think that's the biggest problem with players in Rocket League at the moment, is there's not any professionality to it. They don't see it. Well, in that
No,
sense,
that's true.
they don't
That's
see
true
it
as hell.
enough
I'm
as
agreeing
a
with the hell
job.
with you.
Yeah, they
yeah.
still think that, like, that's too much hassle to do. You have CS players that will move, let's say, from Scandinavia over to America and, be in a house with their teammates and that, because they have to be the best. That's how you do it. Gamer houses, again, aren't really a thing. The last time I remember there being a big one was Endpoint when they were in the Gfinity series, and that bumped them up massively as their ability, where they were grinding it out every single day with each other, and that's something which is lacking from Rocket League, because again, one team hasn't stepped in. We know with the wages, it was Mocket jumping in, setting it up. If you have one of the big teams suddenly step it up, let's just say Dignitas want to step up their dominance anymore, make this dynasty last for 10 seasons.
Don't use that word. Don't use the D word. It's been, what, a year of winning? Like, come on. A dynasty. Genghis Khan is rolling in his grave.
That's a third of the time of Rocket League's life. That's quite a long period. But it's that point of, if they were to suddenly set up a gamer house themselves, get them all together in, let's say, France or whatever, they would get even better, and that would be awesome to see. But Dignitas has no reason to set that up at the moment. There's no point for them because they're already on top.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because a lot of Rocket League players are really young. So, they're at least like 19 is like the average age for a Rocket League player. And at that age,
for a pro,
a lot of them are still living at home. So it's kind of weird to sort of just move out. And a lot of them are at school or at uni or whatever. So it's sort of, which is why a big part of, like, because a lot of, like tournaments, LCS, whatever, they'll have it over throughout the week. So it's obviously going during your work day, but then obviously everyone in the LCS is it's their job, so it's what they do. But in Rocket League, it's like, oh well, I can't go there because I've got to go to school. But when it does come to RLCS, they have to actually miss like 3 days of school or whatever because they fly out on a Wednesday. But I mean, that's probably a big reason why no one really moves houses. But it's just Rocket League isn't quite that serious. It's a bit more a casual esport. But it is a very
talking on that same note, when you look at like CS and that with the younger players that suddenly becoming pro, they will drop school at 18, as soon as they can, they will drop it. And you don't see that with Rocket League. Everyone knows it's that I've still got to go to uni and all of that, because if this falls, I need to have an actual career to fall back on, have that degree and everything, which is another part of the problem. It feels like players can't put the 100% into the game. The top ones at the moment, the pros at the moment, are doing it, and it's showing it through their dominance essentially. But they're the ones with the money. Your RLRS players can't put in 100% of their time because they're not in RLCS yet. They're not making the big money that they can then put savings and then use that to go on to a coaching role or whatever esports job is going to be down the line for them. It's just it's a weird difference level between them.
And then the sort of flip side to that, sorry, Jay, but the kind of flip side to that is if you do have an RLCS team, say, I don't know, a flip side, for example, if they fly all their players out to Germany or whatever, set up a house there for the season, and then they get knocked down to rival series, what happens then? Is that all done? Is it going to keep going? And then they say the next season they get knocked out of rival series? It's pretty much over at that point, and there's nothing really to fall back on. I mean, you mentioned with like Counter-Strike players, they just sort of give up as soon as they go pro. That's it. That's their career. With Rocket League, because it's less established with CSGO, you got events throughout the year. They got the minors, majors, etc., etc. I know, Jay, you can talk about that for days.
I was about to transition to that point because I was going to say there's so much more confidence in Counter-Strike because I'm just looking at Liquipedia now. Between now and the beginning of December, we have 6 Premier LAN events.
Jesus.
It is the big time at the moment.
Yeah, 6 LAN events that have at least $100,000 up for grabs. Like
that's nuts.
That's the point I was making.
To the top tier, even if you can't make the top tier, there's so much out there. There's so much out there for Counter-Strike. You can't say the same thing for Rocket League. It's a very big difference in terms of differential in confidence.
Yeah, and the difference just with CS, the Faceit one in London recently, that was, $1 million. But at the same time, DreamHack up in Canada, I think it was, I can't remember, or DreamHack Atlanta, I can't remember which one it was, had $100,000. Toronto, that's it. Had $100,000 going on at the exact same time. So the weaker team suddenly looked at that and went, oh crap, I can quickly go get some money from there. Because all the bigger teams that are away that weekend aren't going to be signing up for it, and you've got that weird divisional thing, and of course everyone loves it because everyone can now with internet watch multiple streams at the same time. Maybe not my internet at the moment, but a lot of people can. And it's that point of the teams, the orgs they're not risking the money to put into player houses because the value's not there at the moment. If it was put there by Psyonix, doing, like I said, the example of ESL, then they'll go, okay, we can now invest that money there. And then that's also the security for the players, knowing they don't have to put the money into the houses. Then 19 is the average Ryan gave. That's prime time to move out of home and do this. You're at the youngest. That's, for me, when you can make the biggest risks and do this. When you'll say, if you're a 30-year-old player, you probably have, statistically, you'll probably have a family by then, whatever. You've got more responsibility. So you can't do all this sort of investment. It's the same as if you're a traditional sportsman. A footballer's got set up, from his job and all of that or whatever. You don't become a football pro at the age of 30, do you?
No, but a lot of the thing is, the difference with footballers is like they're training up through like academies when
They're
they're
trained
like
from being 5,
9 years old or whatever, and so they like get scouted out, and they're like, okay, we'll give you here's a contract for 300,000 a year to start off with, and I'm like, yeah, I think that's good for me. I'll quit my. Whereas like in Rocket League, obviously, if you're 19, a lot of Rocket League players are at uni, and everything's so quick and it's new. Like someone who isn't relevant, like Yukio, for example, right? Is the new RLCS member, like half a year ago to a year ago, he wasn't even known. And it's like, he's gone from that to joining Flipside and being an RLCS. And even though it's like, okay, we're going to give you a salary now and you're going to be like stable, etc. Like, because Rocket League's all over the shop, if Flipside go, if they start being crap, it's over for him. So I imagine like if you're at uni, you're still going to stay at uni. Or if you've started uni, it's like, oh, now you get a contract because something happened. But it's like, okay, well, I don't really want to quit just yet. Like it's not quite so stable.
Which is even my point of putting up subs. I was saying about this a couple of weeks ago, weren't I, Jay? Where subs need to be integrated into Rocket League so much more, like actually put them on a base salary. Because then you'd be able to, with the whole multiple tournament idea, be able to put them in. A bit like with the play, how Jazer had to play for Dignitas and actually did very well for them at the time. The problem at the moment is subs don't really get a wage. I don't even know of one sub that gets a wage from sticking to that team, which of course is,
The thing is,
you'd be better going for an RLRS and maybe come out with money from there instead of going for a sub for an RLCS team and not get anything.
Well, most people go for a sub spot because they don't have the time to go full time. So most subs you'll see on teams are just like, they just can't. They just want to sub because they haven't got time to practice and be on a pro team. They just want to help out someone. And because
subbing pro for Nordovin, he's got to make diss tracks. So he's.
It's just it's like because when you're subbing, it's you're replacing a third of the team, which is a lot. And they rarely use because it's esports, right? There's less prone to injuries, and it's just like people subs. He says, and the sub.
Coach.
I'm just so unlucky, and like, I'm the only person in Rocket League.
The supervisor of the team. That's it.
They just use. I think again because obviously it's less Rocket League, so on like you have to be earning a proper wage in Rocket League, you have to be at least in RLCS, and to be like very comfortable, you have to be at least like a top 4 RLCS team in your continent. But it's like people aren't gonna. Orgs aren't gonna pay money to subs when they're getting no revenue, like no return from their game, and they're just trying to focus on the top 3 starting players. Because if someone else nabs those top 3 starters, right, then you're like, we'll have to get like another team, which we can't, because if you're spreading your money thin just to like pay a sub or something, then it's a bit iffy. That said, some subs do get paid, but it's like obviously like a discount. So.
Here's a question actually. Do you think there would be more stability? Actually, 2-part question. One, is there more stability? A, if there's more teams in RLCS/rival series, and B, more stability if it's more players per team, say 5v5. And I know that's a completely different argument. This is very theoretical. But if it was 5v5 like CS:GO is, would we have a different situation here?
Well, I think it would be even worse if it was 5v5 because it means the org has to pay even more money.
It's true, actually.
But
then technically, as a player, it's easier to get into RLCS that way because then there's more spots. But it wouldn't be as stable. It would be
less pressure on subs there, but like you said, when they're not really getting any money at the moment, the orgs would have to pay out even more money, and the only opposite way to sort that would then to lower player wages to what would realistically be a more reasonable amount than it is now. But that's then less enticing for the players that go pro and prioritize that.
I think the more teams part definitely helps. Do you know what I think? There's going to be a change to how the RLCS rival series structure works, but again, it won't happen for like 2-3 years. No. Probably 2 years.
I mean,
2 years, right?
You've got South America coming in next year as well.
Yeah.
Although I imagine they'll sort of be more like what OCE is. They'll sort of run separately and then send, say, 2 teams to the World Championship. Is that pretty much how that's going to work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting very interested to see how South America do. But it's if let's say they had 12 teams in the RLCS, I think that's still like Europe especially, but North America as well. Is they're getting the teams are getting so deep, the player base is getting so deep that like you're finding that it's back in the day it used to be the 8th place team in RLCS would just get destroyed and lose 0-7, and everyone below that would still like be on par with that bottom team. But now you got like everyone in the top 4 of the rival series can like take on the bottom 4 of RLCS. I mean, obviously, you're going to have like big teams that are just going to dominate everyone. Like, obviously, Dignitas, for example, are going to pretty much destroy.
That's healthy.
Destroy exactly. It's fine, but I think it's like as long as it's not like a massive, divide where it was like the bottom. Because in every league ever of any game in any sport, there's a bottom team that just gets ruined by everyone because it's like they're the bottom of the league. Like, so it's just how it happens. But I mean, I think it's if you could stretch it. The main problem is, and I think it always comes down to money with Psyonix, I think, and changes. Like, if you do have 12 players in an RLCS, for example, 12 teams in an RLCS, it means you have a long. Oh my days!
I've just been shot by my flatmate.
Man down.
God, no! He has a bigger airsoft rifle.
Oh my god, this is a bayonet.
It
is a bayonet. It has a sticker on it that says for rectal use only as well.
Oh my goodness. I thought
Thanks,
for a
Gal.
second World War III is just beginning.
Welcome to Glasgow, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my day.
Right, I think on that note, Slav, we should probably move on to...
Just for context and the viewers, I said we were going to quickly talk about this news piece in the show planning channel. I said it takes 10 minutes max. We've been going for nearly 40. So we're going to move... Let's move quickly away from that with some final statements here. Final statement from you, Bacon?
That's a great thing.
Good enough, Craftman.
Crafters has used it for rectal use, we know.
Right. Well,
items are good. Yay. Do it
And
properly,
Doomsee?
please, and do it sooner.
Psyonix, hurry up.
Let me spend my money on you.
Right, now let's get into the main portion of the show. The reason why I brought these lovely 2 gentlemen on for today's podcast is that we are going to be doing a big pick'em challenge. So you may have noticed on Reddit, on the esports Reddit, there was a spreadsheet floating around where you can create your own bracket, your own theoretical bracket. Well, we took that, duplicated it 4 times, and each of us have created our own pick'em sheet as to where we think everyone's going to lie and how the entire bracket is going to play out in the RLCS World Championships. And we're going to do a bit of a competition, essentially. So we've set up a little bit of a point system where every match is worth 3 points, except for the opening matches, which are worth 2 points. You can get a point for guessing the winner. Guessing the each match placement correctly. So how to put this in example?
Let's say in the first one, Jay, that Evil Geniuses and Tainted Minds, they're going up against each other, and Dignitas is in the second game. EG wins. If you guess that Team Dignitas was going to face up against Evil Geniuses there, you would get at least 1 point. That's essentially it.
Yeah, so that's 1 point for that. The second point is guessing the winner of each match. So if Evil Geniuses were able to beat Tainted Minds and you predicted them to beat that, to win in that match, and that's another point. And the third point is also for correctly guessing the scoreline. So there's 3 points up for grabs for each match, and then there's a final bonus prediction worth 10 points. So if you can predict the MVP of the tournament, and we're not going to do that today. We're going to do that after the fact, around about Saturday when we've seen the first day of the LAN go down. So that's an extra bonus few points that I'm going to ask to submit later down the line. For now, though, we're going to talk about each other's bracket. So I want to start with Bacon real quick because it is the easiest to do. We have got all the assets set up for him first. So Bacon, talk us through your pick and prediction sheet.
So for the first game, like we were talking about, the Evil Geniuses Tainted Minds, I think EG are going to come out 3-1. They've been looking very good throughout league play. The playoff tournament, they didn't really quite stick amazingly well, but they've been looking good, a lot better this season. Tainted Minds are the weakest part. We all know the second team from OC isn't quite up there, and so I think it's going to be a 3-1. The second game going off, PSG versus Chiefs. Now, this one I think is going to be quite a tasty game, and that is going to be a 3-2 in Chiefs' favor. I back the Chiefs. They've got massive potential, and they show up. They put the work. They research it. Coming into this tournament, they would have researched PSG and NRG so much so that they could put up a good fight against them, and so PSG are going to lose, I reckon. Going into next round, should we do just the starting 2 games, or do you want me to go into
Yeah,
the next round?
let's do a quick discussion about those starting 2 games. Because
Cool.
Bacon, I believe you may have messed up with the OC part of things.
Yeah.
Taking line
Made a
versus
mistake.
OC
Ding, ding, ding,
from
ding,
OC.
Shame.
Yeah, no,
Shame. Hang on, I've got
they
Bell.
won
I've
first
got Bell.
place. They
Shame.
actually won.
Shame.
Tainted Minds are first seed, yeah.
Tainted Minds are first seed, and Chiefs actually, Tainted Minds actually won, I think, overall in the table. So they
Mhm.
actually came top in the table, and then they won the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Bacon, you've already fucked up one big point of the.
Get him off the show. Get him off.
Yeah.
He's fired. Eddie, you boys want to become the new host every Monday.
Chiefs are first in my heart. Shut up.
Aw.
Ah,
That's
But
still
they-
not an
but Jake
excuse.
left. Now it's just not the same anymore. They're not the unit they used to be.
They're not, but like I said, the whole lads, I reckon Drippe is going to be able to drum them into shape. You'd imagine that with Yummy not being on the desk, he's probably going to go for a bit more of a coaching role this time around and try and give the lads even more of a helping hand, because he's got, a bit of free time now that he couldn't get the work visa across. Maybe
From
he'll
the
be
belly
able
of Team
to,
104 as well.
yeah, that's it. The crowd this time with Yummy is going to be able to strive Chiefs to get that win. I don't think, like, Tainted Minds, it's still very fresh from. This is a very new roster. The only
Wait, Yummy's not
we've
going to
got
be there.
CJ
No, he is. He is.
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah,
Johnny
I think
Boy-
Johnny Boy raised
not
money
as
for
a
him to go.
caster. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
and Tainted Minds, because of course
That's one
The-
thing for you, Doomsee.
the OC
Fuck. 1-0.
the OC region works differently, where unlike EU and NA, they don't have the top 2 teams don't have to stick together. Chiefs did; they retained their spot, but Tainted Minds split up. So the only returning player on that roster is CJ, and I don't think they've got the synergy just yet. I know they did good through league play, but this will be the final true test, and I haven't seen it enough of them. And against EG have stepped up this season. That's my thinking anyway.
Fair play. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I feel like Evil Geniuses had a bit of a different, a bit of a weird season. Yeah, they were able to finish in the top 3, if I recall correctly. But I feel like also OCE's position in World Rocket League has improved by a significant amount. Obviously, they were the second best team in OCE before. Now they've stepped up to be the first, and I think they're looking like a really solid team over. That's why, for my personal sheet, I actually picked them to go over Evil Geniuses. I still think it's going to be
And
a
the only
close
one.
match, though. I am the only one who did that. Yeah, you're right about that. But I don't know. I have a little bit of faith in the OC boys for this one. I feel like this will be the big upset of the whole thing. I also do contrast you pretty well, where I also picked PSG to take over the Chiefs. I also realized that Craftman's having problems getting rid of flatmates. Oh dear. Maybe it might not be a great idea. Yeah, he's gonna go deal with them. Right. Well, Doomsee, for those 2 opening matches, what did you pick?
So I picked Evil Geniuses to win 3-2 against Tainted Minds. I feel bad for OCE. I genuinely believe by Jake's departure that Chiefs aren't as strong, and now Tainted Minds can sort of catch up. I don't think it's Tainted Minds have gotten better, but I don't think it's so much Tainted Minds getting better as it is Chiefs getting worse. I think OCE overall are now weaker than they were before. And I was going through my entire bracket, and I was like, have I just put 2 OCE teams out straight away? This is like season 3 all over again. But then, like every other, so it's going to be very hard. I'm going to be very. I think the OCE versus EU/NA matches were one of my hardest ones to judge because you never can know those ones because like OC doesn't play NA or AEU for like 6 months at a time, so it's kind of hard to guess. And with like their new lineups and everything, and like obviously the fact that I don't really follow the OCE scene as much as the others, it's a bit like difficult to say. But I think based on how well NA and EU are improving, I don't think OCE are going to be able to do very well this season. So I put 3-2 Evil Geniuses.
Craftsman, for your first round 1 matches, what have you got?
Yes. So I've got in the first game meet with Evil Geniuses and Tainted Minds, I still got EG winning, but I've got a closer 3-2 series. I think, like Doomsee was just saying, OC here have just been constantly improving. But I think despite Tainted Minds being the number 1 seed from OC this time around, don't think it's just quite there to beat Evil Geniuses at this point. So I'll give EG a 3-2 in this case. Also Tainted Minds probably not want to go up against Dignitas in the very next round anyway, so might be a tactical loss, but who knows? No, everyone's playing to win. Everyone's playing to win. Just not Tainted Minds in this case. Other match, I do have OCE doing well. I have Chiefs beating PSG. PSG for me, they've had a good season, but they've not been the most consistent, I think. And I think coming into this LAN environment now, where only 2 of them have been there before, so Ferrer and Chassette are the only 2 players from that team who've been to the World Championships before, and bringing in Fruity now. Yes, he's been a great player, but I think with the experience that Chiefs have, I think they'll pull through. Again, another close series, 3-2 victory for them, and Chiefs go on to face NRG in the next round.
All right, then we'll go back to Bacon as well for the quarterfinals here. What have you got down for each of the matches starting from top to bottom?
So 3-0 Team Dignitas over Evil Geniuses. Then I see G2 taking down Flipside 3-1. I think straight up, I'm going to say it now. I think this is going to be a brilliant LAN for G2. I think it's finally going to get monkey their shoulder, but it's not going to be a win. If you look at the end, I finally put them down. I think in losing in the losers finals to a Dignitas, but that's a little bit of a. You can see it already. I reckon in semis, Dignitas is going to drop, because I've been saying it all along, Jay. They've got to lose a game somewhere. They've been unbeaten for too long in RLCS. But anyway, back to the quarterfinals. NRG against Chiefs. I think this is going to be not the easiest win for NRG. It might be Chiefs coming and taking the first game where they're rehearsed. NRG maybe underestimating them a little bit, but it's a 3-1 in my favor to NRG. And then Weedham Girls taking down Cloud9 in a super close 3-2.
Yeah, I can mostly agree with this. For the most part, actually, I've got all of those same results. The only actual one that I disagree with is the Flipside G2 one. I think you're probably giving a little bit too much credit to G2. I still think it's going to be a close series. I've got them Flipside to win 3-2, Dignitas to win against Tainted Minds 3-0, because that's what my prediction was. NRG 3-1 against PSG, like you had down, and then Weedham Girls 3-0 against Cloud9. I think that's going to be a bit of a whitewash. Weedham Girls are like looking like I think they're looking like the second best team in the world right now.
Cloud9 are good on lands. How can they just get absolutely washed? I don't see that. I know they haven't had the best league play.
Nuts.
Ignite is nuts.
He is.
Like,
Especially at
MD
lands.
were very
Especially at
underwhelming last season, and I reckon this will be their big pickup. That's why I put in my thing later on. They unfortunately drop out in like I said, the losers round 4, like the losers semi, whatever. But that's just because I think Dignitas is going to go down. And you put those two against each other, I think lads will all agree Dignitas comes out on top. But it's just down to circumstances. This is where the pick and challenge is the most fun, because where they drop changes things massively, doesn't it? For each of us.
Yeah. Doomsee, your quarterfinals?
So my quarterfinals, Dignitas with a cheeky 3-0. Basically, I just put Dignitas destroying the entire RLCS. But
does everyone put 3-0 to Dignitas there? We have.
That's the one of the only constants we've got throughout all of our pick and brackets.
Let me tell you the story about Dignitas, right? Now, Corey, you've been saying that they've got to lose a game at some point. And I'll tell you what, I would be sort of inclined to believe you, because usually when a team is in the lead, like they're first in the world, it's harder for them to stay that, because they haven't really got anyone better to like catch up to. But like you've seen it in this RLCS season, right? It was like when they're facing PSG, they lost the game. They were playing a little bit shaky for like they were playing like the second best team in the world, not the first best team in the world, and they were like looking a tiny bit shaky. They lost one game and they went, oh, yeah, we shouldn't be losing a game, should we? Let's just pick this up.
Oh, we've actually got a win.
And then they just won 4 games, and it was like, okay, so like they don't even. A lot of teams like take an entire tournament to get kicked like in the backside and be like, oh, sorry, we shouldn't be slacking, we should play. Dignitas take one game of a series and then they go, oh, okay, let's pick it up, shall we? So I think by that logic, you can't really get 4 or 3 wins against Dignitas because after the first one, they're just going to come back swinging. But yeah, so Dignitas 3-0 Evil Geniuses. I got G2 3-2 over Flipside. I really have no idea about this one. Like this was pretty. I just basically it's 3-2 either way, but I think I just went with G2 because the NA crowd. I thought that might help a little bit. I think the crowd doesn't really make a massive difference to all these players. I think for the same reason when new players go to the LAN for the first time, a lot of people think like, oh, you know, they might be really nervous and you know they might not have the experience. Time and time again, every single time, I just see every new player just play exactly how they usually do. I think I've only seen one instance where a player has just like brand new to a LAN and started playing a bit bad.
So on that note, I'm going to say I think new LAN nerves are a thing, and of course it depends on the player, of course. And I'm just hoping the NA crowd are going to be as good as LAN Vegas, where at LAN Vegas as it was in London, where we were cheering for everyone, essentially every single player, every single team. There was little chance for. When we saw it from the previous LAN in America, it felt very one-sided on stream. I don't know in person, I wasn't there. Maybe it was just some people not getting picked up on mics, of course, because different areas of the arena, different areas of the theater, whatever, are mic'd up, of course. It's not the whole area. But it definitely felt then that it was very one-sided to America. And I think they know this time after seeing Landon, I don't think it's going to be one-sided. I think it's going to be very fair again. So it's not a home advantage, I feel.
Was that season 5 you're talking about?
Yes,
With
in DC. Yeah,
so I was there, and it was genuinely just full NA bias. Like
Just
in the grand finals,
USA.
it was dead silent. Literally, like it took the nuttiest goal before like the crowd could cheer. Like it annoys me. I hate to say it, but like whenever I see the NA crowd, there are such a strong NA bias. And yeah, in EU there is an EU bias. Obviously, we're going to root for like the homeboys, but like we just love chanting so much that we'll just start making chants for every like player ever. So we're going to cheer no matter what.
Corrupted G getting the whole Pirates of the Caribbean theme. That must have been brilliant.
That was
the best one.
We're too busy rooting for our own chants to care about the NA or EU. We're just like, all right, let's get on it. What's the next chant going? So it's quite clever. But I think there's going to be a stronger NA bias, so maybe G2 will win. I don't think it'll be that much of a factor. But I think G2 seem to have a consistent. No, they don't actually. I don't know what I was going to say. Going to say consistency, like they do bad one season, good next season, bad one season, but actually they did really well last season in league play, and then they just completely beamed it in LAN. So I don't really know that one's either way. But I'll just pick 3-2. We've got to pick one, so I pick 3-2 G2. NRG are soaring ahead now. They started off really poor, and they started a bit weak in the start of league play this season, but they're back into the old groove now. And I think they're just like, I'm not a massive I don't believe in PSG that much. Like they're good, but I think they're like a clear 4th place team in Europe.
They're really inconsistent, and that is on the same day as we've seen in tournaments that they just don't keep up, and it can change even from game to game, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think just especially when it's NRG as well, like I gave them one game because why not? But I think NRG I've got that one 3-1.
That's just so harsh. Yeah, why not? We'll give them from the bone one game. That's it.
I feel like they just have it in them to get a game at least. So maybe so. But yeah. And then I put Weedham Girls 3-2 against Cloud9. Cloud9 they usually do consistently well every single LAN. But they never like quite finish anything. But I don't know. I just have such a Weedham Girls bias this season. I just love them, Weedham Girls.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I think like. Well, Metsonoris has gotten so far in every single LAN he's been to, and he's now in Winner Girls. I feel like iGnite does pretty solid at LAN. iGnite's solid at LAN. He's just such a good player anyway. Remco, again, he's done really well at like LANs before, so I just feel like that team's they're just really good. I think they're a pretty good team. So I think they're going to do pretty well against Premner. So I gave 3-2. Gave it to them.
All right, Crafters, your quarterfinals.
So we'll skip over Dignitas EG. That's a 3-0. Nothing else to say about that. Doomsee pretty much said it all. G2 Flipside. I think this is going to be G2 taking this one. as you'll find out towards the later half of my bracket, I think this might be G2 back on top at some point. That's a little bit of a tease, but not too much of a spoiler. But yeah, again, like Doomsee said, it's going to be a close match, but I think G2 are just going to edge it. I think it'll go 1-1, but then G2 will just go nuts in the last couple of games and take it 3-1. NRG and Chiefs, again, I've given Chiefs one game out of the 4, but NRG, they're just on an absolute tear, and they're going to be picking up where they left off at LAN last time, with all the hype around the grand final, and then they're back at LAN. Yeah, easy enough 3-1 for NRG there. And then Weedham Girls and Cloud9, again, Weedham Girls, fantastic team. Cloud9, yes, I don't want to say they're good, but I have to.
Don't worry, you're not alone. I put them to lose 3-0 against Weedham Girls Crafters.
Yeah, they're a decent team, but again, just the inconsistencies that show up on the big stage for Cloud9 got them losing that one. And against a team like Weedham Girls, who've just been consistent throughout the season, it's going to be easy enough 3-1. Easy enough, it's going to be close, but 3-1 either way.
Okay, let's move on to the semi-finals then. Bacon, back to you. What have you got for us?
It's my turn, yay! So I think, like I said earlier, it was a little bit like with Crafters, thinking G2 is going to be their tournament step up, and I say they beat Dignitas here 3-1. Already gone over it. I think G2 are going to take it, but as I've already shown bracket, I don't think they're going to get to the finals. This is going to be the big point for G2 here, and it's going to be because, you know, the difference between days at LAN is across multiple days, and this is going to be G2's day. I think Dignitas going up against them probably aren't going to be there, and so they'll have to take the drop now. I still strongly believe they will lose a series, and this will be the only one.
All right, then.
Wowzers.
Yeah, I think we're all in solid disagreement on that front.
I've still predicted Dignitas to win. It's just I've got this strong belief.
The damage is done, mate. Damage is done.
Yeah, fuck Dignitas. That's what I'm saying here, clearly. But on the opposite game number 8, NRG versus Weedham Girls, I think this is going to be, again, NRG looks so good. Like you said, Crafters thinking they're going to just pick up from last season. Unfortunately, I can't see Weedham Girls like being able to edge it out. I still think they're great and all of that, but I see NRG making it all the way through the top, and Weedham Girls lose here, which is one of those results where you're like, of course, if Weedham Girls win, I'm not going to be upset. I wouldn't mind losing the points on the pick'ems, but it's just me thinking statistically with all that experience and all the work they're putting in.
All right. Fair enough. Again, I solidly and vehemently disagree with you on that one. On my semi-final sheet, I've got Dignitas to win against Flipside. I think Flipside will be able to take a game away because at the end of the season, last season, they still were looking relatively good, relatively confident when they had their playoff series, and obviously, you know, making it just barely scraping into that second place did kind of help them out a little bit. I still got Dignitas to go to the finals though, and then for the NRG versus Weedham Girls side of things, I've got the complete opposite actually, 3-2 to the favor of Weedham Girls. This is an EU podcast. I've gone full EU fanboy for this one. You know, I gotta back my boys against Weedham Girls again. I feel like they are the second best team in the world right now. That is my opinion.
Oh my goodness.
Doomsee, explain yours then, buddy.
I like how he says that, and mine is literally, I have got them as the second best team.
Great minds, mate. Great minds.
There you go. Yeah, I got 3-0 Dignitas against G2. That's right, boys. 3-0. Because screw it.
Second 3-0.
I just think Dignitas going to ruin everything. I don't know why. It'd be funny. Like, it'd be great. Because people don't. They're a 4-time world champion, I was going to say. So Dignitas coming in 3-0 against G2. Yep, because they're warm now. They're good to go. Weedham Girls versus NRG. And I think this could go either way for sure. I just think the more I look at it, the more I want to change it. But I think I'll just stick with it. William Girls 3-2.
It's locked in now. You can't.
It's
change
locked
it.
in. It's locked. But my mind's going. Wait a minute.
I spent a good solid 5 minutes on this one match alone. I will say there, going and it did come out NRG in my end though.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some OTs in this one. But Weedham Girls, I don't know, man. They're just looking... They're good, but I think it's... I just like them. Yeah, I can't really explain it. They're just good. I just think they're just going to get ahead of NRG, but it'll be close.
Crafters, your semi-finals.
Yeah, well, I've still got Dignitas going. I've got them 3-1 against G2, actually, going through there. Again, I've not got a lot of 3-0s in my bracket, actually. I think I've maybe got 2 in the entire thing. Yeah, I've got 2 in the whole thing. The first one was Dignitas EG. Second one's down in the losers bracket. But G2, again, I think they're good enough to win a game. I don't think we're going to see a lot of 3-0s. We don't really see 3-0s or sweeps at all at LAN. At least not in the sort of mid rounds, getting towards the later half of the bracket. You don't really tend to see too many sweeps.
I've just looked at my bracket and I've got 4 3-0s. Like, oh boy.
But yeah, I've got G2 taking a game. The other one, I've got it around the other way this time. I've got NRG taking 3-1 against Weedham Girls. Sorry, I Ignite. Justin's just Justin, and he's gonna wreck you till you check you. Yo.
The legend.
But yeah, I got NRG mainly for the storyline of the winners finals being a rematch from the grand final last time.
Ooh, wow. All about that storyline, Carl.
Oh yeah, I'm all about the story. I watch too many American sports to not ignore the storyline.
Well, I mean, it is our job to build a storyteller. So. The Scottish storyteller, the Scottish spooky boy in the Scottish storyteller, right? Well, we'll talk about the winners finals when we get to the best of 7 portion of the bracket, because now we're going to move to the losers bracket now. Again, going back to Bacon, let's talk about your round 1 for me.
So this then turns into Cloud9 versus Tainted Minds. Cloud9, too good. This is the second of my 3-0s going in Cloud9's favor. On the opposite side, Flipside versus PSG. I've got to say Flipside on this. Like Ryan was saying, PSG not really... Yeah. They're looking like one of the weaker teams in the whole of the LAN, unfortunately. But Flipside, this is where it's going to pick up for them.
All right. Yeah, I have a very different lower bracket because I picked differently to what Bacon had. I've got Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses in match 9, which I do actually agree with you there. Cloud9 should be able to take that victory, no trouble there. I did give them a game on the Evil Geniuses side, so I don't think they're absolutely terrible. They are still relatively good, but I think this is as far as they go in this bracket. And then on the match number 10, the one below that, I got G2 versus Chiefs. I think Chiefs are going to throw up a really good fight. See, I've got a very different mindset to Bacon in the OCE teams. He has no faith in Tainted Minds. I have no faith in the Chiefs. I still think they're going to throw up a fight against the G2 squad, but they should be able to win that one out 3-2 is my prediction.
I'm looking at his lads and thinking, yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that.
It seems like we're all in agreement, I think, on that on that one. Doomsee?
So I have Cloud9 Tainted Minds, Cloud9. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Cloud9 Tainted Minds. I put 3-2, did I? I'm just looking at it like, why did I put 3-2? Screw it, it's 3-2, guys. You've heard it here first. I don't know, I guess because...
I just looked at your bracket, Ryan. It's like 3-2 to Tainted Minds, and then it's 3-1s for Cloud9, then on. It's like, what are Tainted Minds going to do?
Tainted Minds, like, they're annoyed that they don't want to be an OC team to go out first. So they're like, you know what, screw this, we're going to come in ham. So they're going to play nuts, but they can't play nuts enough, so they're going to lose 3-2 to Cloud9. So that's what's going to happen there. So this is a 3-0, right? Flip side, Chiefs 3-0. That's like, I'm confident about this one, right? But interesting, we talked about the number of sweeps in a LAN. Last season, there was 8 sweeps in the RLCS.
The whole of the RLCS.
League
playoffs, etc.
There was two 3-0s in those quarterfinals. That mid-table we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
2 3-0s. Complexity 3-0 G2 and Cloud9.
Well, there goes my points out the window. See you guys. Bye.
Dignitas 3-0 Cloud9, NRG 4-0 Complexity, Dignitas 3-0 Evil Geniuses, 3-0 Cloud9 G2. It's quite a lot, actually.
I do love how Craftman.
I just thought
it was an interesting
got
side
up and fucked up.
The moment I try to say something at least clever that I thought
Well,
might have happened.
I only looked
And
at
you
last
call
season.
yourself a colour caster.
I don't call myself. I call myself a caster.
Maybe there's loads of there's no 3-0s in like the previous seasons. I only looked at last season. I can't remember. So
Thanks.
who knows?
Well,
Thanks, Doomsee.
Crafters, now's your chance to redeem
Just because I called you bad. No, no, no.
1v1.
Vance was saying 1v1.
On
Absolutely
Rust,
not.
we're going to throw a spanner.
No. Yes.
1v1 on Rust.
360 no scopes only.
Right then, Craftman, you're round one.
Right. Well, for some reason I'm in agreement with Doomsee.
Here
Cloud9
you are.
3-2 over Tainted Minds. Again, storylines. We love an OCE underdog, and Tainted Minds is exactly that. Well, to be honest, both of the OCE teams are really underdogs in the grand scheme of things. But I think what was the scoreline with Chiefs and Cloud9 last time? It went to game 5, didn't it? It was like losers round.
They've done it. They've done it twice. Both times they've met each other. They've lost. No, it was 3-1. Wait, no. Last season was 3-0. What the hell?
What?
Yeah, it was 3-0 to Cloud9.
No way.
I
That's
bet-
true, yeah, in the
I
losers
think
round 3.
season 4. I think it was 3-1 to Cloud9.
Right.
I remember.
Okay.
I remember what happened. Yeah, because I remember what happened. Yeah, 3-1. So basically, what usually
Yeah, it was
happens is
3-0.
Chiefs
Yeah,
almost win it. They're like pressured. They basically get 1-0 up, right? They always win the first one, and then they're about to get 2-0 up, and they're like just about to take the lead, and they're pressuring for like 2 minutes, and everyone's like, "Come on, just score, Cloud9." They miss like 50 open nets, and then they get counted, and then they lose 2-1, and then they goes 1-0, 2-1, 3-1. That's usually
Yeah, I mean, and then last season, the reason I thought it might have gone to 5 games is because every game was 1 goal difference. It was
yeah.
3-2, 3-1, or sorry, excuse me, the middle game was 3-1, and then 1-0 to end it in the losers round 3. But I've got Tainted Minds, same as Doomsday. Going to game 5, like you said, OC underdog, got to fight for their place, but Cloud9 just about edges it. The other match I've got in losers round 1, Flipside versus PSG. It's going to be 3-1. If not, I've put 3-1, but I would not be surprised if it was 3-0 in favor of Flipside, because they're just simply the better team. PSG, I talked about their inconsistencies earlier, and I think with the hype of Flipside being back at LAN as well for the first time since season 4, yes. 4.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
Yes.
Probably.
Flipside's back at LAN. They missed at least the last one, so I think they're going to have the hype train rolling behind them, and Cookser's just going to feel the energy rushing through him. 3-1, if not 3-0, for Flipside though.
Confident stuff. Right, for round 2, Bacon.
Season 3.
Losers round 2. I've
Is it
gone.
season 3, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Jeez.
season
Holy
3.
shit, it's been ages.
Because
fucking
season
hell.
4, they didn't make it with Marky. He changed it out. He changed him out anyway for Yuki, I remember. He went to XL, and then XL this season are in RLRS, and then next season, let's hope they get back there. So losers round 2, I have gone with Chiefs losing the Cloud9. Like I said earlier, this is the rise of Cloud9. Unfortunately, they couldn't beat Weedham Girls. They had to drop straight away, but they'll bring it back. So 3-1 to Cloud9. And then for the other match, Evil Geniuses versus Flipside, we're all pretty much agreed that this is going to be a good season, a good LAN, for Flipside. And this is where I think they'll get a 3-0 against EG.
Yeah, I can agree with those results. I think we can all kind of agree with those results. For my losers round 2, I had PSG taking on Cloud9. I think this one actually will be more close than many people think. I've got 3-2.
Damn,
That is very close.
That is very close, and
You think PSG
that's
will
my.
beat Cloud9?
I think. I
that's
mean,
the surprise to me.
that's the inner EU fanboy coming out, Bacon. But I think that one could go either way. I think that might be one of the closest matches we'll have on the card. I think that's going to be a really hype one. I do have PSG going over Cloud9. I imagine there might be a couple of disagreements on that front. And then for my other one, I've got G2 taking a 3-2 over Tainted Minds. Who, yeah, I've got a lot of faith in those guys, but I think that's where they stop. No one's speaking up about the Cloud9 thing. I'm like, that's.
We're just gonna let it linger.
Just
Let
gonna
that linger.
it
Wait for Twitch chat to start flaming you for it, and then.
Wait for the lulls, and there they are.
But definitely G2 beating Tainted Minds. Everyone, raise your hand if you agree.
Yeah.
Ryan's just
Doomsday
slow as
took a little
always.
bit silent.
But yeah,
Gotta
PSG
think, you know.
beating Cloud9. Anyone want to say anything on that?
I wouldn't mind
yeah,
it.
I mean, it'd be
Well,
weird. I don't know. Cloud9 always
I
do
would
well.
say no. But, like, I wouldn't be upset because
That'd be weird to
you,
go though.
but
Be weird.
yeah.
I think
It
that'd
is-
be
it
that'd be
is-
the upset of the entire tournament if that happens.
Mm.
Like even to get to that stage, I think PSG have got a tough fight behind them. I mean, they've got a where have you've got them beating Chiefs, which is possible, but then losing to Energy. Yeah, it's a tough situation. I think PSG, like I said, I've got them going out losers round 1, but for PSG to get to that stage, it's going to take a lot to go in their favor, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's see what
I
you
mean,
got. Ryan.
yeah, I will hold my hands up and say that is one of my most ballsy predictions in this entire bracket. But
Ballsy.
if it
It is
goes
ballsy.
well, I'm gonna be fucking relishing in the glory. So
That's it. You get the points.
Doomsee, what's your round 2 looking?
So I've got PSG winning 3-0 against Cloud9. That's nice.
Not far off.
Yeah, close. So I got Cloud9 3-1ing PSG. I'm pretty confident with that one. I think that's pretty much how. I mean, like an NA crowd, Cloud9 always do like pretty well, consistent. They're just a better team than PSG anyway. I think.
Yeah, you'd have to be dumb to think otherwise, really.
Yeah, no, right. Wow.
Fuck you, right?
Fuck you
I
too,
think
babes.
even 3-1 might. Nah, 3-1 isn't generous, but I think no more than 3-1 is basically how it would go. Flip side, definitely being Evil Geniuses. They're just.
You're a fan of 3-1s. I've just looked at your bracket. Like
3-1s are. Let's
you
look
just
how many 3-1s.
everyone's getting a 3-1.
I think it's the most common. I think probably statistically.
I think it's kind of hard to sweep because you can always slip at one game. But I think in general, if a team is just better, it's 3-1. But if it's like okay, they're just absolutely destroying them, it's a 3-0. 3-2 is just generally it could go either way. Really, I don't know. I just like 3-1s. It's just
Well, and we've seen from the sweeps, it's generally still very close sweeps where it's like 1 goal differentials, but it's still a sweep. So the numbers game there is like a weird one anyway of Rocket League, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, looking at last season, 3-1, 3-1, 1, 2, 3. Like, actually, there's a lot of 3-2s. It's pretty even between 3-2s and 3-1s, actually. Interesting. Okay, well, there you go. Fun fact of the day. Last season. Yeah, there you go. Those are my
Still waiting on those Madonna facts, though.
Craftman,
I can dish out Madonna
while he does his little googling, Craftman, if you want to explain your round 2.
Right, my round 2. I think we've all got Cloud9 in this game 11. Actually, I've got them losing to Chiefs, and I think 3-2, 5 games, 5 games.
Ghost in the chat.
You know what? I'm calling it reverse sweep. Reverse sweep for Chiefs.
How are they?
Reverse sweep.
Chiefs are worse than before, and they couldn't even beat Cloud9 then. How could they beat them now?
It's their time, man. It's the story. It's the storylines. I'm gonna balls out. Absolutely balls. I think we've got a lot of bold predictions in this losers round 2. Actually, it's more fun. It shakes up the bracket a little bit. So you got Chiefs going through from that, a reverse sweep. I still get it if it's 3-2.
Do you want to add another point on that one, Crafton?
Can you give me another point if it's a reverse sweep?
I'm gonna know that.
willing
I'm
to
gonna
give
note
me the
that down
extra
on your
point?
sheet. Hold on.
He is writing it down. I'm interested to
There
see
you go.
what he's actually doing. Oh, okay, fair enough. And then in game number 12, you see my only other 3-0 in the entire bracket is Flipside 3-0 sweeping Evil Geniuses. Again, Flipside. Hype have been back at LAN. They've just came off that victory against PSG. I think their momentum's just going to be flowing out of the gate. And Evil Geniuses, again, they are the 4th place American team, and 4th place NA doesn't really do particularly well historically at LAN. And you've got to think Flipside they've just been on a resurgence this entire season. So I've got them going through 3-0.
Let's. I don't think anyone expected losers round 2 to be the most dramatic.
Mate, losers bracket is
predictions.
always losers
Losers
bracket
bracket's
can
crazy,
throw
man.
up the losers
Oh,
bracket
yeah.
can always throw up the craziest games, and I think we're going to see some crazy games at Las Vegas.
Well, let's see if there's any more crazy games in round 3. Bacon, your predictions.
No, mine's pretty bog standard, Jay. Not going to go much more than that. Team
that's
Dignitas taking
boring.
down Cloud9.
There's a Dignitas in a losers bracket. That's already surprising.
Well,
what the hell? When you said that, I was like, wait, what Dignitas? What?
Yeah, Dignitas taking down Cloud9. I think it's going to be a 3-2, and this is going to be the start of Dignitas picking it up. The other one, Weedham Girls going up against Flipside, and it's got to be a 3-0 for Weedham Girls.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Mm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, about that.
I agree that Weedham Girls would be able to win, but I don't think it will be as easy as a 3-0. 3-1 at a stretch, but I think that one would go to all 5 games.
No, I'm expecting it to be 3-0 in like very close games still, but Weedham Girls taking it 3-0.
Like a couple of overtimes as well.
Well, if you want a fun fact, the last time Weedham Girls and Flipside played in the league play, Weedham Girls beat Flipside 3-1, and it was 1 goal differences every single game. So very close games.
Ooh.
Mm.
All right
There
then.
you go then.
Wow, maybe Bacon's prediction might have a little bit of credence to it, but we'll
A
find
little
out
bit of
as
sauce
the
to it,
land
yeah.
goes, a little bit of sauce to it. We'll find out as that land rolls around. For my round 3, I have Flipside versus PSG. That's going to be an easy one for Flipside. Ballsy prediction from PSG will not come out for this round. I think they'll have a game at best, but that is about
Can I
it.
just say, Jay, sorry on that. You've got I find this quite interesting because you've got Flipside PSG in game 15, so that's losers round 3. I've got them facing each other in losers round 1, game 10. I like just the
Wait,
the
what?
Bickham sort of variance.
Oh, whoa.
No,
At least one of you will be wrong. Interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, you've got Flipside PSG in losers round 3. I've got them in
okay,
losers
my
round
mistake. So
1.
I said losers
That's what I'm
round
saying.
4.
Yeah, you said
Oh,
you
yeah,
said
you
game
said
15.
round
I got really
Okay,
confused.
Yeah,
Well,
makes sense.
I have Flipside winning that one. 3-1. Pretty sure that's a box standard one. NRG versus G2 is where I think it's going to get really, really spicy.
Oh, what game?
Because that's like the NA showdown of Ultimate Destiny, essentially. Like these boys. This is where shit's gonna hit the fan, I think, in my bracket. I've got G2 taking it over NRG. I imagine there'll be some serious debate points on that one. But I do lean a little bit of credence to G2 having their resurgence in the last season. Obviously, they had a fantastic season. NRG took a little bit of time to get started. NRG did end up winning the regional championship, sure, but I think G2 are a little bit more consistent this season. I mean, that being said, Doomsee made the point earlier of how they can absolutely shit the bed at LAN, and that's entirely possible. But I think if they come up against NRG, I think they will have a 3-2 victory.
Don't worry, I can already see Crafters there going on Amazon to get a pitchfork and a torch because you're ruining this. NRG have
He's coming to
Oh,
London
man.
this weekend, mate. He's going to absolutely skewer my ass, right?
That's
time to get that bayonet out there,
Yeah.
my friend. All right, Doomsee, round 3.
Well, did you know that Madonna attended the University of Michigan on a dance scholarship in 1976? Just thought that was an important piece of information.
I forgot that
know.
was coming.
So that's a good point, because that influences the fact that I think Cloud9.
Yeah, Madonna goes to university. The butterfly effect leans onto this one.
Oh my
You never know,
God.
mate. G2 might come on. Cloud9 will come on. They'll be listening to Madonna. They'll be inspired by her, and they'll be like, you know what, we got this. If Madonna can do it, so can I. So I think
Like a
Cloud9.
virgin, they walk
I'm
onto
not-
the stage. Yes.
I'm not.
Land for the very first time.
Jesus. So the last time, in league play when Cloud9 faced G2, Cloud9 won 3-1. And simply by that logic, I'm just saying Cloud9's going to do it again and beat them 3-1. I think
Solid.
it's pretty solid logic. I think Cloud9 generally, they're always a top 4 team at LAN. So I'm just like, you know what? They're going to do it again. So they're going to beat G2 3-1. It's going to be pretty good. Pretty solid. And then NRG versus Flipside. I got NRG winning 3-1. NRG, I like their resurgence. I don't like Flipside's inconsistency. And I can't remember how the days work and what goes on what day, but I think Flipside will do all right against a fair bit of teams. I put them to lose against G2 even. So
I think that round's day 2, end of day 2. I think.
Yeah, but I honestly don't.
I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I think Flipside are just going to do well against teams that they because I got them beating Chiefs. I got them beating Evil Geniuses. I think they're like, because they're like the fourth. Like that's energy. Evil Geniuses is the fourth NA and Chiefs is second OC. I just think like they'll do fine against them. But when it comes to a team that's like pretty like a team like NRG, I just don't think they'll be able to do anything against them. I think they're going to lose. Unfortunately.
Yeah, actually, in surprising fashion, I probably would pick the same prediction, all things considered. I think that, if We Dem Girls are the second best team in the world, Flipside are the fourth, and NRG is somewhere like in between all that.
Like first.
I think they might.
Between second and fourth. Wait a minute.
I was meant to say fifth, and then NRG would be somewhere in between that with G2. But it kind of does fucking apply. Despite my EU fanboyness, that's a surprising agreement to me. I didn't think I'd fucking say that. I'm not gonna lie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Craftman, what do you got?
So I've got G2 against Chiefs in that top bracket game. I've got G2 winning 3-1. That's where Chiefs fall apart. Is usually towards the end of day 2, or where the OCE teams fall apart is towards the end of day 2, start of day 3. So I think G2 will comfortably win that one. I gave Chiefs a game out of the goodness of my heart. But it's going to be a fairly easy win for G2. I'm
a pity game.
Thank you. It's not pity. It's a little bit pity.
It is a little.
So easy enough win for G2 there. The other one, I've got a 5-game series going on between Flipside and We Dem Girls. This was tough. To pick. Really tough. But
this is when everyone else gets out the pitchforks, by the way.
Yeah, it is, because I've got Flipside winning that in game 5. No, it's good. I think they're going to trade games that go 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. So I think they're going to trade back and forth, and maybe even an overtime victory in game 5. But it was tough. But I went for Flipside in the end. Again, you kind of saw it last season with Envy. Well, now We Dem Girls, Envy. In the last season, they had a strong run coming into the LAN. They had a good couple of a good day 1 and then an okay day 2, but they kind of just dropped away towards the end of their run, and I think that's where the fatigue might start getting to them. So I got Flipside taking that in a very, very, very close game 5 or 5-game series, I should say.
It's funny. Last time We Dem Girls and Flipside faced each other, it was We Dem Girls won 4-2. But every time Flipside won, so the 2 games that Flipside won, it was a 7-1 and a 5-1.
Oh.
And then We Dem Girls would do like a 1-0, 4-1, 2-1, 3-stand stuff. But it was like when Flipside would just suddenly just go, yeah, I'll win this game and destroy you, and then they'd get back to losing again.
Yeah. Like you said, I think they're gonna go back and forth in games. I don't think it's gonna be reverse sweeping. I think they're gonna trade games, but Flipside just in game 5.
Just about. All right. Well, for our final 4 matches, potentially 5 matches, we're going to do them all in one big swoop. I hope Ben has the screenshots ready for that. So let's start with Bacon's. Let's start with the winners finals from Bacon, and you can just go losers and then the grand finals. Go for it, mate.
So, like you said, this is going to be G2 NRG, American LAN. Let's just say it's American winners final, and NRG come out on top of G2. I think most of us would agree on that, like continuing the whole story. A repeat of last season when NRG make it through in the uppers. And 4-3, it's going to be a super close winning final and actually be quite an epic match. Then going to losers round 4. Dignitas are going to beat out We Dem Girls to get like the resurgence of EU as they try to reclaim the NA land. That's going to be a 3-1 to Dignitas. Losers final 4-3 to G2. Dignitas are going to be struggling throughout the whole of this, but they persevere. Gets to the grand finals 4-3 to NRG. I've got a lot of bloody 4-3s, and then a 4-1 to Team Dignitas as they finish it off in great style. And it's basically just going to be them keep on getting stronger as they go through. And you can say a bracket reset. NRG get a bit tired.
That's interesting. You say NRG would get a bit tired. The Dignitas, I think,
Dignitas have energy for days, though. If you've ever
you bring fatigue to the fold, and Dignitas would literally be playing 3 back-to-back best.
They're robots. It don't matter. That's how they're so good. Aim hacks are built
They
in.
already did that. They did that last
Rocket
season.
League.
Yeah.
They literally did that exact thing last season and they won.
Hmm.
They had to 3-0 Cloud9, 4-2. Well, I can't remember what order it was. So they had 4-2 Complexity. So yeah, 3-0 Cloud9, 4-2 against Complexity, and then they bracket reset 4-1 against Energy, and then 4-3 again. So they've seemed pretty
So
good.
my bracket reset is the flip of what actually happened last LAN, just for the grand finals, ain't it?
No, it's the same. Team
Oh, is it?
Dignitas came from the losers bracket because they lost to NRG in the semis.
No, I'm saying there in the grand finals it was 4-1 for the first grand finals, and then the bracket
I
reset,
see. Oh,
Yeah.
it went to game 7,
yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
Whereas I think we're not going to get that. It's going to be the bracket reset is after energy I've just spent. You know, they put all that energy into the first one, thinking that they can't go.
Excuse the pun.
Yeah, they can't
Hey.
go to they can't go to that possible bracket reset because they don't have the long game that Dignitas have. That's my thinking here anyway.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty solid reasoning overall. For my bracket, I had Dignitas versus Weedem Girls in the winners finals, and I've got Dignitas winning 4-2. Weedem Girls, I think, are going to show up a little bit early. I think they're going to have a lot of energy going into the winners finals. I think they're going to fall short to Dignitas both there and in the grand finals because I do have them moving through the lower bracket to beat out everybody else. For my losers round 4, I've got Flipside taking on G2, and I think Flipside are going to edge this out. That one might be another controversial thing, but I'm an EU fanboy. I have a little bit. I have, despite the inconsistencies, I have faith in Yukio and I have faith in Mystic's system in the way that he's been able to utilize Yukio this season, and that's the reason why I've got Flipside going this far. I think it's going to be obviously the hype train factor is something else to consider as well. I think they're going to be really excited to do well at this LAN. I think they'll be able to follow through with that as a result. When it comes to facing Weedem Girls in the losers finals, though, I think that's where they'll stop. Third place, considering they've been out of the LAN for 2 seasons, I think that's a fantastic result for Flipside overall. Weedem Girls should be able to take it. I've got another 4-2 down, and then I've got Dignitas winning the grand finals in that first game, 4-3. I think it will be close. But I do not think the upset is going to happen. I think the dynasty will roll on for the rest of the year. Sorry, Doomsee, I love you.
He's only upset because he never had the Doomsee dynasty. You realise?
Oh,
that?
that'd be great, wouldn't
Like
it?
that was never a thing. He's just jealous of the name.
I think dynasties. I only think of like literally 100 years plus as a dynasty. Like, nothing. Like, I don't think anything in sports is a dynasty. I don't know why.
I mean, from an NFL perspective, if you win 3 Super Bowls, then you're pretty much a dynasty at that point.
I can agree with that. You win 3 LANs, you're becoming dynasty. So if Dignitas win this LAN,
there's 2 LANs
it's their
a year.
dynasty.
Isn't Super Bowl? How is Super Bowl every 4 years or something?
Every 1 year,
it's every year?
February. Every February.
Oh, okay, so it's in 3 years. All right, but 3 years compared to a year and a half. 3 years a dynasty. Fuck off. What is NFL? 3 years is a dynasty. Jeez.
Yeah.
I will hold that a year and a half in esports is a long time.
It is a fucking long time, actually.
Because teams change every half year, it seems. But for them to stick together so long, I would say you can finally call Dignitas a dynasty if they win this LAN. Technically, we could say it's the dynasty of Turbo Pulsar at the moment with those 3 LANs by that logic, which I'd give it to him. He has been fucking on top form. He's not necessarily been the best player ever at one given time. I don't like that's always a bit debatable because a best player against the best team is a bit harder to say. Because a lot of people might say K-Dop or Violent Panda, Fairy Peak, whatever player. I wouldn't be able to say who's the best player at the moment or ever. But that team, definitely Dignitas, is undoubtedly the strongest team probably we've ever seen.
We've got the 1-up game going on between Craftman and Doomsee right now. They're spinning rubber
Kane's
bands on their fingers.
Yeah.
And then, like,
I mean, I've got
Craftman's
3 I'm spinning around.
Yeah, you're just
Doomsee's only
doing
1.
3 at once. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
You've actually
only
got
got one.
LAN wristbands and Ryan's
Yeah,
actually
I've got
I've
2
got
special
that.
effect. I got 2 special effect ones, and I got the London World Championship one.
Oh, there was one for the London World
I've lost
Championship? Shit, I didn't fucking
Did you
know
not get that?
No, I didn't know.
Wow.
Mine's in the
That
box
Fuck,
behind
that
us
would have gone
somewhere.
great with my collection right here. I noticed about that. There's 9 plus the 10th one from the major, so there's like too many fucking wristbands.
What
I
if
would
you
have
just got
absolutely
one?
loved the wristband.
I'm ready for LAN, boys.
Oh, with the actual
Hey.
lanyard, yeah.
Mine's in my cupboard somewhere. I'm not
I've
gonna
got
dig
my
it out.
season 2 and season 5 one next to each other in a box behind me because they kept them together when I moved.
I've got so many fucking
Aw,
wristbands
that's
around
cute.
and lanyards around the place.
Mine's
it's
are in my
fucking
cupboard
stupid.
in a bag because I moved.
Mine's still in my old
I
home.
moved. Ow! Caught my finger in my.
Stuck now.
I
Right
moved
then.
3 months ago and still haven't fully unpacked. So yeah.
We're running short on time, so Doomsee, I'm going to move quickly onto your final 4 matches. So what do you got for us?
Okay. All right. So, for me, first of all, Madonna had her first top 10 hit in 1984 with Borderline. So that's always interesting. That's
more
very
you
fun
know.
fact there. But on other more important news, I have NRG. We'll go up. Winners finals. So Dignitas, Weedham Girls, 4-2 Dignitas. Weedham Girls, just like they're good, but they're not Dignitas, and even 4-2 maybe might be a bit of a stretch. I don't know. Maybe not. Nah, screw it.
That feels
4-2
fair.
Dignitas. I think that's fair. I think that's a very fair result. And then is it lose round 4? Or are we doing the? We're done.
I will say on that one though, Ryan, the last
Yeah, go
time
on,
they
mate.
played, Dignitas beat Weedham Girls 4-0.
They did.
I mean, 2-0, then 4-3 in overtime, then 1-0, and then 2-1. So it's still relatively close. But a 4-0 is a 4-0. You think Weedham Girls are putting the work to beat Dignitas this time, do you?
No, it's just different. Every game's a random. You just have a game, and the next time it's predicting a scoreline is so impossible. But I just think it's just a different game. I just think 4-2. It's never usually the same result as 2 times in a row, unless it's just like I don't know. I just think 4-2. Hard to say, really. In my losers round 4, I have NRG beating Cloud9. That's always going to be a fun match. I think this is usually where Cloud9 fall. Winning was NRG. Yeah, usually where they fall, 4th place. So I think NRG, they're just going to turn on Cloud9. NRG's going to have their resurge. They've got their resurgence now. They're going to play as they should do, and if they do, they are better than Cloud9. So that seems pretty straightforward. 3-1, and then I got Weedham Girls versus NRG. So this is going to be a fun one. I just thought screw it, 4-3 Weedham Girls because EU bias and I just like Weedham Girls. So, but I mean that one can go either way. I think. I think you have to. We'll know that result at the LAN, so I think we'll know early on the day, like whether it's more likely. I think it's basically. I think it might be clearer on the day, like whether one team is going to beat the other. But at the moment, it seems like it's going to be a 4-3. Either way, really. So yeah, that means I have Weedham Girls in the finals against Dignitas, and Dignitas going to be like, well, yeah, we've done good. You know, they've had that. Whenever Dignitas lose a couple of games, that's when they're now the best they've ever been. So they've lost a couple of games versus Weedham Girls, and they're like, oh, guys, let's be careful. We don't want to lose a game. And they're like, all right, yeah. So they just go back and they win 4-1, maybe even a 4-0 to create a very anti-climatic final. But I think 4-1 Dignitas in that one to take home their 3rd victory in RLCS.
Fun fact as well, great minds think alike. Me and Doomsee, the only 2 people that have Weedham Girls and Dignitas in the grand finals, and we're the only 2 who didn't predict the bracket reset.
Ooh,
So there we go.
Interesting.
Well, that's because
Not as fun
I
as
think
we've got
if
it,
there wasn't an NA team in the finals, these EU lads might not make it home.
Yeah.
NA is a bit upset at the moment, considering they got the first season, with the Winston NA team.
And they haven't
I
had
think they're getting a
anything
bit
since.
upset afterwards. And
Can you imagine that? 5 seasons of EU and 1 of NA. That'd be crazy. It's already crazy with 4, but yeah. Come on, NA, get to work.
Right, Crafters, finish this off, buddy. What are you
Right,
thinking?
well, did you know that David Bowie's first hit in the UK in 1969
Oh my
Space
God.
Odyssey was used by the BBC in its coverage of the moon landing?
I did not know that. That's a very
That's a
interesting
good-
fact.
that's a
Thank
good
you for
Bowie
sharing
fact.
that with us.
Hashtag Bowie facts.
What was the Bow song?
What's that?
What was the song?
Space Odyssey.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
That would fit so well. Yeah, go on.
Not Moon Odyssey.
No, they
well,
put Starman on it, and it just be really surreal.
that would be better. But oh well. Hindsight in that. Winners finals, Dignitas against NRG. I've got the rematch, like I said earlier, the rematch from the grand final of last season. Dignitas take it 4-2 to go to the grand finals. I think NRG will put up one hell of a fight. I think it'll be very close games, but I think the last game, game 6, will be a wipeout, and Dignitas will just go storming through. Losers round 4, I've got G2 against Flipside, and G2 win that one 3-1 down in the losers round 4. I think you'll see where I'm going with this. in
Where's
G2.
the story? I'm sorry, you've been talking about this story all along about NRG.
The story's
being back to
everywhere,
final.
Bacon. Come on.
You've ditched your story.
It's the G2 story, mate.
It's the G2 story, and this is where it comes to fruition, because G2 go through and head to the losers final to take on NRG. They beat them 4-1, and then you have the 3-time world champion Turbo Pulsar, the 2 times Violent Panda and K-Dop, the current dynasty against Kronovi, the original Rocket League man mountain, going up against each other in the grand finals of Las Vegas. I have G2 winning the first series 4-3, 7 games, but then Dignitas win it 4-1 in the bracket reset.
What a story!
All the way, the big dynasty versus the old, and then they lose.
Yeah,
it's
but
a bit
I think this kind of builds from last
like
season.
they'll lose a couple of games and then you just go, oh, okay, we gotta win this now.
Yeah, I think this kind of builds from last season. I think last season at the World Championship we kind of built Kronovi and G2 up to be sort of on the comeback, and here they come, and then they got knocked out fairly early, didn't they?
Well, that's because didn't they win E-League and then go on to have a really good league?
Yeah, they did.
Of RLCS.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even win a series. They
didn't
got
show
swept.
up.
They got swept by Complexity in their first game in the quarterfinals, and then they lost 3-2 to Evil Geniuses.
They didn't even win a game.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Your finals is interesting though, because you have a bracket reset, but then the team that did the bracket reset still lost. And that has
That's
never
never
happened in an RLCS history. Fun fact. It's
Yeah,
either
every
a win or just a straight win from the winner bracket team. So.
It's happened in tournaments before, of course, and it can be quite common.
It can be done.
I know that happens quite a lot in the Asian region with their stuff, where it's generally the team that comes through the winners will come out on top in the end, but it's because they don't put the energy in. Like, it feels in pro level. I don't know, Ryan, you might be able to back us up, but teams do, like, some will conserve their energy by not putting that all into a game and then suddenly step it up, where they're communicating more, they're more focused, more intense on it. Is that actually a thing?
I think people just always, no matter what, they just try the hardest in the beginning. So a team never like, I don't know. I think it's more, you can get drained after if you have to play in a straight games. I think it depends. Obviously, it depends on each person, but like if you have to play like more than 3 series in a row, like if it's a best of 7, like I think after this, if you have to play a 3rd series, that's when it starts to drain on you. But I think a team never consciously decides the energy is like we're going to put in the energy. It's just sort of like they're always trying 100% from the beginning, and it's just how it naturally sort of drains over time. So a team will never like start like a team start slow, can start slow in a game and then build up. But they never really has like if they're already well into a tournament, they don't really sort of have a dull and then come back again. It's usually a pretty consistent up or down motion.
Yeah, so you would never really like going back into early in the bracket. You never think this is an easy team. We're just going to take it easy, sort of conserve our energy a little bit because we've got a better team up next, and we know we can beat these guys. Excuse me, fairly easily. So you would never think that because you would end up sort of overthinking it, underestimating your opponents, and you end up losing. Is that roughly right?
Yeah, teams just focus on like the game. So they're like, okay, we're game here. Let's just play, like feel out this team, warm up, and then after the first game, they're like, hey, we need to get this strategy. They're literally the focus is so hard on winning the game by game, that there's not really any like long term strategies of how you do things. It's just each game one at a time, which is how you should play it.
Just play who's in front of you, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there you go.
There we go. Those are our prediction brackets, and the main consistent I think we have to take away from this is that Dignitas will win the World Championships. There are no fucking debates on that one. Like, I don't know anyone who has stated the contrary at the moment. I don't. Yeah, like there's just no real contest at the moment. Like that Dignitas.
One thing I will say is that Dignitas will win it, but I think Justin or Garrett G, one of the NRG lads, for once, the losing team in the finals will get the MVP of the tournament. I don't know which lad. I haven't thought of it. I haven't seen the first day like we agreed upon. But that's going to be... Well, that's it. It's not been done. It's always been the winning team gets the MVP. I think this will be the first time that doesn't happen, especially at home in NA. I reckon there's more for it to break the mold there.
If that was going to happen, it would have happened last season. Garrett G was the MVP of last season. But they always pick. I don't know if it's a rule or Psyonix sort of like. I don't know if the science forced the panel to do this, or it's just such a subconscious thing to go, just look at those 3 players who won and pick one of them. I think they just pick the winning, like they
The
just
be- the best
pick
player on the winning team.
the best
Because
player
I
on the
always
winning
find it
team.
weird as well. I can remember back when Northern Gaming won LAN with Toby Pulsar in that, and
Yeah.
Devo was the MVP of the tournament. Now Devo turned up on day 3. Don't get me wrong, or was it day 2 at that point? But the very first 2 days, I think it was, he wasn't there at all. Like they were very
Yeah, the picks
lackluster
are just
in
Well,
that. So
that was the same thing with K-Dop though last season.
100%.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, he was the weak link of Dignitas in that grand final.
Yeah, that's why they like keep switching out. Like they keep like giving each other, like the players on the team. They're like, I'm not the MVP. They just give it to like Kate. Like it was like Toa gave it to K-Dop in season 4, and then in season 5, K-Dop's like, no, like, gives it. It's like the panel just cannot get these MVP awards right. Come on, like they just keep giving it to each other.
Who is
But
the
it's not
panel?
to
Do you have
like-
any idea? Because
It'll be the casters. It'll be the broadcast team.
Yeah, it's the RLCS. Well, the thing is, what it is, it's the RLCS. It's a mixture of like the actual analysts on the desk and loads of people backstage. And a lot of the time, the people who are picking it backstage have no idea what Rocket League is going on. They're like production. They don't really know.
wow.
So it's a bit messed up.
I've
That's
got
okay, because now we've got
again, at the same
4 RLRS
time, you
casters
can't-
this time around, so it'll all be fine.
Yeah, because I was going to say at the same time, you can't do it statistically because statistics do lie. You know, stats like your striker generally isn't your best player on the team because it can be a defensive powerhouse. Let's just take Scrub Killer for Vitality being, I think, the best player on that team this season.
Yeah.
But he might have not always had the best stats because he was focusing on saves instead of shots. And you get more points from shots statistically. If you're a striker, you're going to come out on top. We all know it.
Yeah, it's a lot of there's a lot of players out there who sort of do a lot of the what's the word? Like
Greed.
No, it's the dirty work, or like the work that doesn't get seen, doesn't get credit.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have like a really good midfield game, for example, and you're just constantly helping with pressure or something. or
Anchor
you're-
players, I always put like Pasha in that. Just he never
Yeah.
gets the MVP.
Yeah, but you can be. I mean, he wouldn't get anyway. But like, I see a point. But, like, but you can have a lot of. Yeah, you can have a lot of people who do dirt work, but it's always like the star players that get like.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys. We've all got Dignitas winning the World Championship in some way, shape, or form. But if not them, then who? Who would be your second choice, regardless of what you predicted in your bracket? What would you? Who would be your second choice to take the World Championship?
NRG.
Oh.
Well, I guess William Gales. I mean, like, I can't. That's what I put, and that's kind of what I think anyway. But I mean, it'll either be William Gales or Energy. It's my two.
Yeah, those would be my 2 picks. I think I'd favour William Girls slightly over them, but I think it comes down to the day more than anything else. Like, the problem with picking someone other than Dignitas is that there is no clear fucking, like, there's no clear contender. Like, Dignitas are just, like, leagues beyond anybody else right now. So, and everybody else is stuck, like, a generation behind the current meta of Rocket League. If that's like a good metaphor to put it, like almost like Dignitas are playing 2019 and everyone else is playing 2018. So that's what I'm saying.
See, my thoughts on that is a bit weird because I look at my bracket and I've got G2 finishing ahead of Weed and Girls, but it's all because of how the bracket aligns.
Exactly.
Of course, I think NRG is stronger than Weed and Girls, but I personally think Weed and Girls are stronger than G2. It's just purely because I have got the impression that G2 are going to have a very good first day, a very good second day, and then they generally fall off at the end on that last day. G2 sort of like crumble, where they just can't keep up that amount of stress, that amount of pressure. So for me, G2 get through to the last day, maybe not in the same fashion as what I was saying, because they do come out just one game short in each one. But I would say Weedham Girls are a better team than G2.
I'd have to agree with you. I think my 2, if I was just to pick 2 of the best of the rest teams, I would pick Weedham Girls and probably G2 as well. I know you got NRG sort of floating around up there, but it's a really tough question, to be quite honest. But I would put G2 and Weedham Girls up in that sort of second and third place if it was just straight pick the second and third best teams, not how the bracket plays out. But of course, we can say all this stuff and it's not really going to matter come Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because crazy stuff can happen. It's happened before, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens, I think.
We'll have to wait and see. Make sure you're tuning into the RLCS Grand Finals this coming weekend. Any other tournaments that also might be going on, fun little teasers about that. But I'll leave that for the weekend as come by that point. But for now, that's it. Aftershock is done for another week. 15 minutes late in this case, but I think that's more than fine. Since there was a lot to discuss. And massive shout outs to Craftman and Doomsee for coming on. Like I kind of organized this like barely a week ago, and you know, thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving your predictions. Thanks for the insight that you boys have brought. I think it's been one of the best episodes we've done.
I think thanks for having us. It's been really fun.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Love to come back.
Maybe we'll come back for another Pick'em Challenge later on, but next week we'll be bringing you the results of the Pick'em Challenge plus all the results from RLCS. We'll be catching up with the Gfinity Elite Series and the Thunderdome as well, so make sure you tune back in. There's going to be a packed episode already. We haven't even got most of the results, so there we go. Once again, I've been Switchblade Jay. My co-host has been Digital Bacon. And of course, make sure you follow all the channels that we have at RLAfterShock, the Twitch, twitch.tv/RLAfterShock, on Twitter at RLAfterShock. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, now currently available on 8 different platforms, including Spotify and Google Podcasts. Bacon, final thoughts for the day.
Lord of the Rings is a better series than Star Wars. Talking about
mate, we're going to get into a debate off the airwaves.
It's the best
thanks
movie
again.
of
Thanks again for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. And see you back here next week for even more from the Aftershock.
Bye.